My name is Heather Franklin. I'm the Sexual Violence Prevention Coordinator for New Mexico Department of Health. And I'm here with Jess Clark from Solace Crisis Center in Santa Fe. And we're here to talk to you about intimate partner violence prevention as well as sexual prevention for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, hello, Jess.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And though I already gave you an introduction, could you kind of briefly introduce yourself and the work that you have done in prevention?
Sure. So I'm Jess Clark. I'm the prevention manager at Solace Crisis Treatment Center, which is Santa Fe's rape crisis and trauma treatment center. We've been in the Santa Fe community for 46 years this October. So Domestic Violence Awareness Month is also our anniversary month.
Oh, wow.
It's very exciting. We, on the prevention side, do primary prevention with the Department of Health. So we work in primary prevention from the 7th to 12th grades and college and beyond, trying to address rape myths and gender norms. We do specific programming for immigrant students who speak Spanish and their families simultaneously. And then we do specific programming for LGBTQ youth, doing prevention programming that is specific to their needs, because their needs are going to be different than non-transgender, straight young people.
Great, thank you. So we wanted to start out with talking about healthy relationships. We know this is a protective factor so that we don't have sexual violence or we reduce it, as well as intimate partner violence. Can you talk about why it's important to have healthy relationships for youth and specifically for LGBTQ youth too?
I think the first thing to acknowledge when talking about healthy relationships is that we don't have great models for young people for what those look like. Mm-hmm. I can start in 5th grade asking the question, how do you know if somebody wants to kiss you? And their answers are always something like, they lean in, they make Google eyes. I had one young person get really excited about saying, well, she puts on lip gloss. And they learn those things from TV, mm-hmm. that there's the moment with the wind in the hair and the music is playing, and that at no point should they talk about what they want their relationship to look mm-hmm. like, what they want that first kiss to be. And if they're not able to have models for what those conversations could be, it's really hard for them to play that out in the real world. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would say healthy relationships is communication, having a ton of communication, really open, honest communication. Mm-hmm. And that is a hard thing to do because it's not modeled for them. And also when we're talking about sexuality, because we tell young men to be very excited about having sex often and with many people. And if they're not, there's something wrong with them and they're a girl. Yeah. And then we tell young women that they should not be excited about having sex with anyone, period. And we know what they're called if they are.
Yeah.
And so it makes that conversation really a hard thing for them to have. For LGBTQ youth, we have an extra layer that they don't have any relationships, any queer trans relationships modeled for them. Yeah. And so to see what that could look like is really hard. And so we have extra layers of shame that maybe mean that young person is in a relationship with someone who's using power against them in really negative ways. Mm-hmm. But because there's so much shame and they don't have a good model, it's really hard to get out of that.
It seems like a lot of young people take models from media, mm-hmm. and there are limited good models.
Yes.
Yes.
And for LGBTQ youth, limited models, period, yeah. Let alone good models.
Yeah. And so what would you say, apart from communication, are signs of a healthy relationship for teens, and what are some signs of common red flags?
I would say healthy relationships, honest communication, individuality and agency, that both partners are really comfortable with the other person having outside interests and friends and relationships that are just as important, even if they're not in a romantic relationship with those folks. Some red flags, I think, are any kind of controlling type behaviors, like you have to show me your phone, you have to give me your passwords. We know with social media, that's a huge thing right now, is we have to share a Facebook account. We can't have separate accounts. Because if you have a separate account, I know you're going to be causing trouble. Yeah. I would say those are huge red flags.
And then if like a peer or a mentor or an adult were to notice some red flags in one of their their friends or their their mm-hmm. kids' life, what would you recommend that they would do? Like what is like because sometimes that's a little mm-hmm. uncomfortable, right? What do you do in that case?
I think so many adults are afraid to have that conversation because they don't want to say the wrong thing, so they just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
But having that conversation is so important because that young person, especially if they've been isolated by their partner, they don't think anybody is noticing or looking or seeing what's happening. So that adult saying, hey, I've noticed that you have stopped engaging in extracurricular activities. Since you started dating this person, I've noticed that your work is slipping. I've noticed that you don't seem to be hanging out with your other friends as much. How are you feeling? Are you feeling safe right now? Are you feeling comfortable? But never ever speaking badly about that person, because that will just further isolate this young person from getting help.
That's a good tip, because I think some people will automatically speak badly of that person. Yeah. And then as far as other tips, I know that you're part of the Starts With Us campaign, the statewide campaign, which is aimed at teens and mentors. Can you talk a little bit about that and what resources that would bring to someone possibly in this situation?
The It Starts With Us campaign is so neat because it was created by people in New Mexico. The pictures are of young people from New Mexico. It's when they see their friend, young people get excited to see the posters. And in there they have a Talk About It guide. And that Talk About It guide goes through what to do step by step if an adult is worried about a young person, if they want to ask the young person questions about dating and sexuality, how to go about that. It's really neat.
It's a great resource. It's available on social media, right?
It's on social media, and it starts with us.org.
I think, yeah, with Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
It's on the social medias. It's on the Book of Face and the tweeters and the Instagram and all of those things. And you can also find it through the Coalition of Sexual Assault Programs website.
Great. And then if anyone would like to get a hold of you, what would you recommend? Or what are some, like, if they want you to do a prevention, session with them?
They can call me at Solace, which is 505-988-1951, or go to our website, which is findsolace.org. Or if they at any point need to talk to somebody, we have a 24-hour hotline, which is 505-986-9111. That's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, 2 o'clock in the morning. There is someone there to answer that call.
Okay, great. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Heather.
joining us.